is about how would you describe the state of the security architecture in the region, and is it now under the threat, and if it is, why?
You see, what we expected was after the nuclearization of South Asia, that there will be a period of stability in the region. Unfortunately, that has not happened. It had internal as well as external factors. India-Pakistan relations have always been uneasy, and the level of mistrust is very acute. And just a couple of years after the nuclearization, before the things had settled down, this 9/11 happened. And we had a war in our backyard in Afghanistan, and that did not allow the things to develop normally in South Asia as they would have in any nuclear environment. So because of that external influence of the war on terror happening in the neighborhood, India-Pakistan relations were also impacted. There has only the difference which has happened is that if you look at India-Pakistan history, in the first 25 years we had three major wars, in 48, in 1965 and again in 71, and one or two serious border clashes. But after that you have seen that there have been a lot of crises and there have been some border conflicts, but there has not been a major war between India and Pakistan since nuclearization. So it has had a positive effect, but why it has not stabilized is that right from the beginning, India realized that by going nuclear, it has provided opportunity to Pakistan to demonstrate its nuclear capability, and the result was that India's superiority in conventional forces that was neutralized by Pakistan's nuclear capability. And they found themselves very irritated that now they cannot use that military power to coerce Pakistan in any way because of the nuclearization. And then they started challenging the credibility of nuclear deterrence by saying that there is a space for limited conventional war below the nuclear threshold. And because of that challenge, doctrinally first they started talking about limited conventional war, then they realized that that's not possible, then they introduced this Cold Start doctrine, and now they are talking and implementing a new doctrine that is called what they call these precision strikes. Like the ones they carried out in 2016 and in 2019 after Pulwama Balakot, surgical strikes. So that is the new thing which they have found out. So which keeps the stability very tenuous and always on the edge. So recurring crises open up the possibilities of inadvertent escalation. It hasn't happened as of now, but it has not even allowed the things to settle down as they would have and should have after the nuclearization.
Dr. Salik, what influence do external actors have on the region, US-China rivalry for instance, and what risks does the escalating Indo-China rivalry pose for Pakistan in the region?
In fact, from Pakistani point of view, the major powers rivalry in South Asia has had very adverse effect on South Asian security environment because the American rivalry with China has brought a lot of difficulties for us. One, that they pressurize the regional countries to take sides, and Pakistan has got very close relationship with China. So America has not been very happy with Pakistan, and they have been pressurizing and Pakistan to keep a distance from China, which is not possible for Pakistan. On the other hand, they have started building up India as a strategic counterweight to China. On the ground, if you see, there's been this conflict in Ladakh area between China and India. But if you look at it practically, what has happened, Chinese occupied some territory, And the only clash which was between the two forces was where they used sticks and stones. Not a single bullet has been fired in 3 years. So the nature of that conflict is very different, because India does not want to take on China because they know China is far too powerful than India. In a way, it has relieved some pressure from Pakistan, because then India had to contact Pakistan through back channels and restored the ceasefire along the line of control, because they did not want to have a two-front situation where they were having tensions with China as well as Pakistan at the same time. So from our point of view, there is a relief, because India has had to move some forces on the Chinese borders. Otherwise, they had everything arrayed against Pakistan. So from that point of view, it hasn't posed any new difficulties for us.
For 2 years, Russian-Pakistan relations have taken a significant step in their development, and there is a political will and desire to turn dynamically developing relations into strategic ones. How do you think is it possible to speak of strategic trust in relations between Pakistan and Russia now, and how does the expert community in Pakistan assess the current state of Russian-Pakistani relations?
It's very interesting. If you look at history of the Pakistan-Russia relation, it has been a roller coaster kind of relationship, ups and downs. But if you go back in the past decade and a half, you will find that the last 15, 16 years or even more than that, the Russia-Pakistan relations are going on a very smooth and positive trajectory. There hasn't been any dips in that relationship. So it is going all in the positive direction. That's the best thing which has happened. And if this continues, this will improve the level of trust between the two countries. Because obviously, if you have bitter memories of the past, the trust level is affected. But with this positive trajectory of relationship going on, this will automatically restore the trust also. We see the indicators. The level of trade has increased from $500 million to $1 billion in the last couple of years. Pakistan has purchased and it has been delivered 1 million tons of Russian crude oil. Pakistan is also importing wheat from Russia, and there are other things in the pipeline also. So if this continues, I am sure things are very positive in terms of future of Pakistan-Russia relations. And this phenomena, particularly in which we are involved as members of the think tanks of Russia and Pakistan, this had never happened, because this in fact will widen and broaden the discussion, debate and understanding of each other's viewpoints. And the more we interact with each other in terms of think tanks, academia, student exchanges, that will further support the relationships.
Do you think Russia can bring a constructive agenda to Pakistani-Indian relations? Is it possible to resume a sustainable dialogue between India and Pakistan?
Now there is a time when Russia has good relations both with India and Pakistan. It always had good relations with India, but relations with Pakistan, as I said, were not ideal. Right at this moment, Russia has very cordial relations with Pakistan and traditionally good relations with India. So it has goodwill with both countries, and from that point of view, it can play a very positive role. We have a historical precedent in the past that after the 1965 war between India and Pakistan, it was Soviet Union at that time which offered its good offices to have a peace agreement after the end of the war, and we had the Tashkent Agreement, which was overseen by the Russian leadership. So if it could happen in those days during the Cold War years, the prospects are far better in the present time. And as friends, Russians may not have the kind of clout which the Americans have, but being friends with both India and Pakistan and having a positive influence, Russians can at least encourage, give friendly advice and encourage the two countries to sit across the table and start a political dialogue.
A cooperation between think tanks and institutions of Russia and Pakistan is actively developing. In which areas should Russia strengthen its expert interaction with Pakistan?
Actually, we are at a very early stage of cooperation, and we have to mainly our focus is on strategic stability and security issues and all those kind of things. But we can always widen the scope of this into bringing the economic relationships and the political diplomatic issues and the common areas where we have policies which are similar to each other. For instance, international non-proliferation multilateral forums where we discuss arms control, disarmament issues. Mainly our positions coincide with each other. Then there are certain areas where both Russia and Pakistan have interest, for instance in Central Asia, in Afghanistan, and we have a common interest of having stability and peace in these areas. So there we can cooperate with each other, exchange views and develop recommendations for our policy makers and decision makers to implement to improve those areas.
Thank you, Dr. Salik.
Thank you.